Is Dora Diaz. I'm the president of the Osceola Democrats. We are here with Spill the Tea of OYD with our Osceola Sheriff's Race candidate, Marco Lopez. And we're also here with Rachel Christian, our host.
Hi there, everyone.
All right, Marco Lopez, how are you doing today?
Good. Hi, Dora. Hi, Rachel. Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And it's a great day. Beautiful weather. Excited and, woke up with some good positive vibes this morning. Ready to take on this little challenge here.
Oh, it's not a challenge, just,
Yes,
a nice, friendly interview. So to kind of start off, why don't you tell us what coffee you're drinking and tell us a little bit about your coffee or tea.
I'm actually not much of a tea guy, but I do drink tea. But then I like strong stuff in the morning. You don't know if you're familiar with Café Bustelo.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh my
I
God.
am.
This stuff is like my heart rate right now in the third cup is like, it's bad. It's up there. It's elevated. This is not for everybody. They should put one of those little warning labels on this.
That's my favorite coffee.
Oh my God. I can't function without that coffee. It's just really good.
Nice. Maybe drink some water along the way,
Sometimes. Yeah, you got to hydrate.
So, Marcos Lopez, what position are you running for, and what does that office do, and who can vote for you?
I am running for the position of Osceola County Sheriff. It is a position of keeping people safe, helping you sleep good at night, knowing that your property is safe and your children are school safety. There's a lot of different elements that the Sheriff's Department is involved in our community. But the main function is education, school safety, and keeping our community safe. And what was another question? I'm sorry.
It's okay. And we want to know who can vote for you. Like some offices are literally specific to like a neighborhood. Who can vote for you?
This is a countywide race. So everybody that is a registered Democrat, please come out. I need your vote. And in the primary, 2018, August, that's when we can all go out and exercise our constitutional rights to pick and choose a candidate they feel is going to be the best one to represent their community.
Definitely. And just, in case we have any viewers who may not know, the sheriff's race, Marcos, you're against, is it three now? Are
we going to name them today?
What?
Are we going to name them? Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
We previously have interviewed Mike Fisher, and we previously have interviewed Russ Gibson.
So a little history, I guess, for everybody. The incumbent sheriff, Russ Gibson, he is completing his first term. He is up for re-election. He is going against three Democrats, one of which is Marco Lopez. The other one is Mike Fisher. And now there's also a third guy, right? Like, I shouldn't say a third guy, another candidate.
Yes, Tony Fernandez.
And he's running as no party affiliation?
Nonpartisan. He has the luck of being able to go straight to November. He doesn't have a primary.
And so that's kind of, so the decision in August is the primary.
Yes.
And that will decide which Democrat goes up.
Goes to November.
Yeah?
Yes.
So just a little, it can get complicated if you don't pay attention to local politics. Yes. So that's kind of the sheriff's race in a nutshell. So one of the questions that we had for you, Marco, was you ran for sheriff in 2016 as well, correct?
Yes, as a nonpartisan.
Yeah, as nonpartisan. So can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to run nonpartisan in 2016 and then why you decided to run on the Democrat ticket this year?
I am 51 years old, and I have been voting since I turned 18 because I joined the military when I was 17. So in the military, they pretty much mandate you to register. You got to pick a party. They try to educate you, especially when you're really young. My parents had a sign for me to join the military when I was 17 because I was underage. But being involved in politics, I think I can really remember well the Bush, the Reagan eras, because that's where, you know, everything was really, our countries were going through reforms, knocking on the wall in Berlin. But as the Trump factor came in, and I'm not bashing the Republicans, you know, and stuff like that, but I felt that I didn't agree with the immigration type policies that were coming in under the Republican Party. And because one, you know, I was born and raised here, but I have family members from Colombia, from Nicaragua, from Germany, that they, you know, that they came here and they are very successful, educated, and they have made it. And my brother-in-law is that they have a very successful business. I mean, you're talking about a multi-million-dollar operation. So just because you come from a foreign country, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't mean that you're going to be a burden on our community. I think when you come from somewhere where you have to take advantage of a system to really be successful, I think you're going to work 10 times as hard as the average American. And I've seen that. So I did decide to run as a nonpartisan in 2016 because I just felt that being a law enforcement officer, you can't represent black more than white. Florida state statute is written a certain way that, you know, we're only to enforce laws. It should be a nonpartisan race, just like the judicial races. So that's one of the main reasons I jumped in, because I wanted to make sure that everyone had representation on all equal platforms. But needless to say, little did I know that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have a lot of power here and a lot of influence in the state of Florida. So I had to come in third as a nonpartisan. I only got like maybe 12% of the votes, but I only ran for 2.5 months, and we ran with very little money. We gave it the best we could, and at least my platform went out there, and I got to express myself on the needs of the community. A lot of these guys come in here and say, we have done this, I have done this, you know, what about what the community wants done? And that was what I was projecting. They wanted to see more diversity. They wanted to see more women in our administration. They wanted to see more minorities in our administration. They wanted to see blacks in the administration. Things like that is what I was really pushing for. So everyone can feel represented and have a mentor through the sheriff's department. I think that's it pretty much. That was my motivating factor, amongst other things, but that was the main thing that I felt was really important because, you know, coming from that Baltimore and Ferguson and seeing all these riots and seeing all these offsets, I said, you know what, if you really don't look like the people you serve, you're not going to gain that trust. You know, you could put stickers on your cars that say community this and strong that, but if you're not out there in the community looking like the people you serve, you know, it's a hard pill to swallow because you don't know what it is to walk in my shoes. You know, you don't want to know what it is to be from another or descendant from another country. Mm-hmm. You know, I speak 3 different languages. I speak Spanish, English, Portuguese. So,
and I think that's important just because Osceola is majority Latino. And so you're the only Latino running for Osceola Sheriffs. What advantages does that bring to our community, or how is your campaigning strategy different from those who, from the other races?
Well, you're Hispanic, right? Latina? So I don't know if you remember, like as kids, like someone would say, what's he saying? What's he saying? And you would say the total opposite of what the person was saying, just to try to make a joke. That's the same analogy we can use as having a sheriff who speaks Spanish. And I'm not saying you have to have a sheriff that speaks Spanish. You don't. But you know what? I was born in America, raised here, but I learned Spanish. Yo aprendí español por mis padres y también por la educación. Eu también falo português. Estudei português na universidade. Now, that willing to learn, if you're from Germany, you can learn German and you want to keep those traditional values, you can in America. That's what makes this place great. One of the main advantages, if we have say, an emergency incident where there's a catastrophe or emergency management or potential more losses of life, I don't need to wait on a translator. Time is of the essence. I can actually get out there and express myself to 3 different diverse groups. And that's one of the main advantages you can have, getting it straight from the source instead of having to contract someone in there and relying on them to give out your message the way you want it to be expressed. I think that's...
Yeah, definitely. So one question that I had is, you know, there's so many things, roles, responsibilities that the sheriff handles. And, you know, in light of everything that's happened with the pandemic, it kind of, you know, is putting law enforcement into a new role. You know, what kind of obstacles or challenges would you foresee if we continue to have issues with the coronavirus next year once you're, you know, in office? What are some steps that you would like to take as sheriff to keep people safe?
You know, one of the main issues that we're having is this is something new to all of us. This is something that, everybody goes back to the H1N1 and when Obama was in, it was, but we didn't really go into a big, long, extended crisis like this. This is something that's global. This is something that's affected all of us in one way or the other, no matter what. We're Americans. We're very social people. We like to get out there. We like to be in the parks. We like to enjoy our freedoms. And with this type of pandemic, it's really hindered our opportunities to really be out there and just social gathering. We like to go to bars, especially younger people. Rachel, we've gone to the Young Democrat things in Three Sisters. And that's part of our social life, the wind down time. We can't even do that. So I think that as our government is handling this the way they see fit, I don't want to criticize because it's something new, but I think we need to learn and we need to start implementing more emergency management measures for this, because as a sheriff's department, we are actually the front line of defense along with our nurses and our doctors. If someone has the virus, the COVID virus, and they're calling 911 because somebody's stabbing somebody, we have to go. We have to act. Like the firemen, if you see a DNR, do not resuscitate, they honor that. We can't honor that. So there's a lot of things that we just have to implement for our law enforcement line of defense, maybe implementing better PPE equipment, our dispatchers actually asking those questions that in the normal life, it may be a HIPAA violation, but these are the kind of things that we're going to start facing these challenges. And if we don't start, working through our county legal advisors, to avoid these lawsuits, but if it's going to be the protection of the majority of the community, like I said, this is something that's really new to all of us, and it's going to be one of those hit or miss trial and errors that we just have to learn along the way. And I think it's going to be a little bit of work until we get through this.
Thank you. And now, in regards to the COVID-19 and what we're noticing right now, as more information is coming out, the prison population is one of the most vulnerable groups of the COVID-19 pandemic. And just because it's difficult for the social distancing, the coming and going of the correctional officers, the new inmates who are coming in. So how can the sheriff's department work with the corrections to help protect those communities? Or what are your ideas that you have that we can protect these communities in the prison population?
We do have a job to do. People are going to be arrested. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, we've been arresting people here since the Wild Wild West days. It's not going to stop. People's mindset, moment of rage, it's going to cause people to do bad things. Now, are some crimes worse than others? Of course. I think a lot of our misdemeanor crimes, considering we have a pandemic, like driver's license, misdemeanor possession of marijuana, things like that, the $3 candy bar. Those things really should be going to the state attorney's office. I do believe in issuing some citations and less criminal jail time for those things. And why, when we do have a pandemic, and you have to have compassion. It doesn't only put a burden on our prison system, it puts a burden on everybody else. On the taxpayer, on the nurses that are working these jails and get sick or get exposed to this. Another thing too, we don't run the jail, but, we could always work well with the jail and make recommendations. We can have a wing, maybe, I don't know what their population is or how they're overbooked or what their inmate capacity is right now. But maybe we can dedicate a wing to not just mental health, but we can dedicate it to people who are possibly exposed to the virus, so we can seclude them and have a different wing with the proper PPE equipment. If you have to house these people and you have no other way of not allowing this because of the crime they've committed. But there's a lot of things we can do. We just got to get together with the right people, the commissioners, to really brainstorm and make these things happen for everybody to, work a little better.
Definitely. So what kind of would you say, it's your, let's say it's your first 100 days in office. What are your top 3 priorities? The first 3 things you'd like to get to work on once elected?
Well, I have, there's quite a few things we need to work on. There's a lot of good programs there there's a lot of good things that need to be made better, and there's some that, that just need to go. I think my first priority order of business would be a community advisory board. I think that's really important. A lot of the people in the community ask me, why can I get my public records requests a lot faster? Why can't we see how you're spending your tax dollar? Why can't we see how you're disciplining your officers? Why do we have to wait for channel 2, 6, and 9 to do this? A community advisory board will allow the community to have a monthly meeting, quarterly meeting. Hey, the sheriff's office is open. I'll be there personally. If I can't be there, we'll have a representative there, and we will break it down and we'll answer those questions. Community leaders will be more than welcome to come in there and do that. And that helps with that transparency. A lot of departments in the state of Florida, I think we have like 67 counties or different sheriff's departments, they actually have, a majority have community advisory boards. And it's really worked well because that helps that trust and bond that community, those community transparency type issues that we're having. Another one would be, I'd love to create an anti-bullying program. A lot of people don't realize this, but we have a lot younger people, like from 11 to even lower, committing suicide because they're being bullied in schools. We have 2-parent households that have to work, and sometimes they're not seeing those signs of these children. You know, bullying meets the criteria of misdemeanor stalking. You know, and I'm not saying arrest every kid that bullies, no, but we can actually implement a juvenile citation and a juvenile diversion program to educate these kids. If you're a counselor, the SRO, we see these type of programs and you go out of your way to bully another child, we bring you in, we write it up, juvenile citation. It's like a warning, and we educate you. We send you to the juvenile courts, but it's going to be one of those where it doesn't count on your record the first time. It's like giving the opportunity to educate you on why bullying is wrong, the suicide rates of bullying. And that's one of the things that I don't know why we haven't done yet. We have so many SROs in the schools. I don't know what they actually are doing in the schools, but I think we need to be more involved in the educational level to help offset this. Also, I'd love to create what you call it? You got me a military veterans liaison office. And I'll tell you why. Being in patrol and walking these streets, not just for our homeless, but I've seen a lot of homeless veterans out there. A lot of them have mental illness. We don't have a veterans liaison office at the sheriff's department right now. I did 22 years in the military. You know, we're a small percent of the community. And a lot of these younger kids that go to Iraq and Afghanistan, they come back, you know, they need help. Our suicide rates are just unbelievable. And to offset that pain, other than what the Veterans Administration is giving you, we're popping pills, you know, we're smoking weed, not me, but, you know, you start getting involved in other things to help compensate that pain. And it ends up to, you know, you committing unlawful acts, domestic violence. If we can implement a community military type liaison office with the sheriff's department, we can actually, once we effect an arrest of a veteran, when we have to, like on domestics, we can actually push them through the proper chains, like through the Veterans Administration office. Follow-up programs once he does come out, counseling programs, and homeless veterans. There's a lot out there. I run into them all the time. They just don't know what they can, the benefits that they have. You know, and we have helped numerous number of veterans just walking the streets. Little things like that, just to start.
Awesome, perfect. Dora, did you want to take the next one?
Yes, I wanted to expound more about that anti-bullying initiative that you were talking about. And as a teacher, I thought, like, I really had a strong relationship when I was working in Osceola County with the SROs. They were really helpful in my classroom, and they were really positive influences on in our schools. So how do you, as a sheriff's department, how do you plan to strengthen those relationships, or what are those with the schools, with the school board? What ideas do you have in how these SROs and what their role is inside these schools?
Okay, you know, first of all, we do have a lot of talented deputies that actually have education. Some of them are in teaching. And we need to start selecting those school resource officers that actually want to be in these schools and are willing to help putting together these programs with the school board. Now, I don't know what the relationship is with the school board and the sheriff's department, you know, because I really wasn't involved in that administrative aspect of that. But I do know that there's a lot of SROs that want to be in the schools, and there's a lot that don't. A lot of them love to be on patrol, but they go to SRO because they want that family life, 9 to 5. You know, deputies have to realize one thing. This is a 24-hour operation. Okay, you can't have the 9 to 5 like the banker or like the lawyer, or, you know, we need to be 24/7 accessible to the public. And if I have good deputies and good detectives that want to be on patrol, but they're only trying to fit those lifestyles, and we need to sit down and have a chat with them, because we really need them where that resource is going to be more valuable to us. Working with the school board, getting ideas from them, getting with these deputies to start educating more, mentoring these kids, implementing this part of the policies is what's important. I don't know how FDLE or I mean the school board regulates, you know, allowing a deputy to come in and teach and try to push these type of issues. So those are the things that I have to look into. You could probably enlighten me a lot better on that. But I would love to work with those type of programs just to help the deputy that's in the school start educating, mentoring, anti-bully, diversion, and really educating our public. The big brother and sister programs really work well, playing basketball with these kids. There's a lot of things we can do, but we just got to make sure it doesn't step on anybody at the school board, because you're always going to have that one school board member that says, no, I don't like this. And then you're going to have 8 or 9 that do. I don't know if it's a majority rules or how it works there. There's a lot of things we can do.
Definitely. What are some ways that you plan to involve residents in, well, you actually did talk about a community advisory board before. What are, maybe expound on that, or tell us some other aspects you hope to implement to get more community involvement in the sheriff's office.
We have something that I came up with. We have a couple of things that we use. It's called like whenever we encounter, say, a sex offender, we have to register them. It's Florida state. It's per law. We have to document and track their movement. We have a community contact card for about everything. Why don't we have a community contact card that's positive? Just add a little line to it. I drive by Rachel's neighborhood. I see you out there cutting your grass. And I say, hey, how's it going, Rachel? You're like, oh, I'm doing great. You're going to be shocked because the deputy actually rolled his window down and he's talking to you in 90-degree weather. But this forces the officer to engage with the public. You're not breaking the law. I'm saying hi. And you know what? I'll say, hey, how's it going in this neighborhood? And you can say, hey, you know what? At 2 a.m, there's these kids down there. I don't know what they're doing. They're selling weed or whatever is it that they're doing. Is there any way you can enhance that patrol during those hours? So now I open up a call. I open up a community contact card. I can leave you anonymous. But we don't close that ticket out until you are advised of what the outcome was. A lot of people make the call, oh, we're going to take care of it. We never do. This forces the officer to engage, not just in a negative manner, but in a positive manner with our community. 2 a.m, we go down there with a few of our guys. Yeah, it was a couple of juveniles out there just, messing around. We notified their parents and sent them home. We told them they don't live here. They won't come back. Problem resolved. Now, on the other hand, if we find a big heroin dealing operation, now guess what? We can shuffle our resources there. And now we cleaned up this area, and then we can move all those type of resources to other areas. The community is actually our best eyes and ears, and we work for you. A lot of these things that I talk about isn't things that, these little things didn't come from my brain. These comes from people like you that want to see from the sheriff's department, because you authorize us to police you. And I think community engagement in a positive manner on patrol really will make that difference instead of a parade or a happy birthday to you. I think that us involving with the community on a direct measure and documenting it, opening up a call and following up with a close up, this is what we did, you're going to appreciate us more, and you're going to learn who your cops are in your beat and your sector. You can know them by name, I think that helps a little bit.
All right. Say hi. Hi, Kobe.
Say hi. It's a bad boy. Beat it.
You're recording, Marcos.
All right, sorry.
Say hi to Kobe. I love when dogs are on our shows.
He's being nosy.
Qué lindo. What type of dog do you have?
He's a German Shepherd, but he's a big spoiled baby. He only barks when the door rings.
Oh, German Shepherds are really smart dogs. They're so cute.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask you, Sue, if elected, your voice as a member of the Florida Sheriff's Association would help decide the organization's stance on many issues pertaining to law and immigrants in our community. And we're going to go back to that. So where do you stand on providing driver's licenses to local immigrants? What are type of stances you have as sheriffs when it comes to immigration?
When I was in the military, I did a lot of anti-terrorism type, took a lot of anti-terrorism training extensive. We had to maintain a classified clearance. We used to work on minimizing casualties. But a lot of the things that was really important was identifying people. So we would be in the Middle East, if we would we would meet people, leaders of the communities, we'd actually, and we'd get their prints, we'd take their pictures, we'd get their information. And this way, at least we knew, and we had a database where we can identify people who could potentially cause us harm. And I'm not saying immigrants are going to do that, but I think if an American, if someone comes from this country, we should issue them an identification card and a driver's license. I think it's important to get them in our database. I can't tell you the number of times that I have arrested undocumented citizens, and later the jail will say, hey, you got a good John Doe. I'm like, what do you mean a good John Doe? Because we couldn't identify him. This guy's wanted out of Texas for a rape or lewd and lascivious molestation or escape from a jail here and there. So I think it's important, and technology has got to that point where soon we'll be identifying you via your retina. We'll have those tools more readily available in our patrol cars. But I think it's important everyone get identified, and so we can all be able to, you know, help. I think it helps fight crime in a technological way. And I'm not saying they're all coming here to do crimes, no, but I think it's important to get everybody documented in some sort of database so we can all be able to identify anybody who comes into our country. It's a security type issue, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the issues that Osceola County's been experiencing lately is rapid population growth, and also expansion into areas where previously there weren't neighborhoods or communities. This obviously puts a huge strain on the sheriff's department having to go and cover not only more people, but a bigger geographic area. What are some challenges that you've seen within the sheriff's office that you would like to tackle, and possible challenges related to growth in the future?
You know, I think a lot of it has to do with recruitment. You know, right now our sheriff's department has grown so much, and I don't think they're not doing enough community outreach to recruit from here. I'll give you a good example. We have about 15,000 Haitians living in Poinciana. Why haven't we recruited one? Why? They need mentors in the community as well as anybody else does. They're part of this community. They're buying homes, they're paying taxes. Their English isn't going to be as great, but there are some that are very fluent. And we need to start employing them so we can start making that community connection with that community. Let's recruit 5. We pay for their academy. We have Tico here. Great academy. Put some kids through that. A lot of times we'll recruit kids and we'll send them to the academy, and guess what? There's no commitment. It's in Valencia and Orange County. Why? I don't know. It's our tax dollars are going out of county. And you're talking about 5, 6, 7,000 training a kid. When this community police academy here will actually do it for like half the cost. And then now we start putting them back to work in the same neighborhoods where they're growing up. And now we start developing those relationships. Right now we have expanded our community services department, 35, 40 deputies, but we're 40, 50 deputies short. Why don't we take half that, cut it down, put these guys back on patrol to help offset that and fight crime, and let's get college interns. Let's get college kids who have an interest in criminal justice or law enforcement. They could do our community services. We give them a polo, sheriff's office. We have a great reserve unit. We could have one reserve doing these things that actually has a gun and a badge to be the mentor for those communities. That's the way we can actually reach the community with average citizens who want to be policed a certain way and want to see us communicate with the community a certain way. If you put 20, 30, 40, 50 cops in community services, I don't think the message is getting out there like we want to, you know, but I definitely got to work on our recruitment also. We're not recruiting.
Are there being any funding issues going and employing, you know, and like recruiting all of these new people? Any issues paying for it?
Put it this way. If we have 30, 40 community service deputy sheriffs right now in that unit, and we take one and dismiss them and send them back to patrol where they're needed, we can hire 2 interns at the same pay he was making there. And there's money for that. Remember, this is a fixed budget. There's money for payroll. You know, you're talking about maybe 65, 70 million goes in payroll. It's a fixed budget. And the rest, the few million that you have, is to go to community services, to other type of events. I think that we need to really start using our resources wisely, put our law enforcement in the community to fight crime, because this is growing. You know, a lot of times they say crime is down here, and that's not true. From the 11th through the 13th, we had 4 shootings, 1 murder, a robbery, a home invasion, and 2 vehicles stolen in progress, and another one stolen in progress. And I'm talking about a 5-6 square mile vicinity. That's one in a couple days span. And I'll tell you how they manipulate these numbers real quick. We enter into a system statistics. Say you have 150 burglaries at a hotel. They consider 1 burglary, 1 address. Well, we really have 150 victims. So when you report this, the crime looks like it's declining, but it's really not. We really had 150 burglaries. You get 3 hotels in a row, 300 burglaries, 400 burglaries, but they're considering it 3 or 4 incidents. Those are the way they manipulate these numbers, because they want our property values to continue to climb. And that's where our transparency effect comes into play. This is the reality of what's happening, because you can't go around boasting crime is down when you had like 20-something murders last year, and then we only report 4 and the rest were suspicious deaths. A murder's a murder. You know, if it is what it is, and you need to report it properly. That's a lot of things that we're missing here. But I think that community outreach with more law enforcement on patrol is going to help offset that crime right now.
Now, you're speaking about increasing transparency in the police department, and there is a lot of mistrust in the community just around the United States, especially on that incident that happened with Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. What do you plan on doing either to have people trust in the Osceola County sheriffs, or build that trust between people, especially of different backgrounds, and they're just not feeling like people are not being policed evenly?
Okay, look, put it this way. Right now, we do have a lack of trust with our law enforcement. And I'll try to make this as brief as I can. We come under a mentality of the 1990s policing right around the Rodney King era. We went to militarization of police. We went to this big us versus them. One life matters, Black life matters, this life matters, all life matters. You know, we need to change that mentality. And part of the problem is we are not policing the way you want to be policed. You authorize me to put on a badge and a uniform to the state of Florida to police you. So why don't you have input? You know, a lot of this has to do with recruitment. Right now at the Sheriff's Department, there's not one Black male or female sergeant, not one Black male or female lieutenant, not one Black in our administration. Why? I have no clue. I could give you my opinion, but, you know, we need to diversify more, because the African-American community, Black community, they also need mentors. You know, you need to see these people in these positions. You need to see the community looking like the people you serve. More Hispanics, more females. Okay, and I don't mean it I'm straight. I don't mean it in like a racial way, but if you talk about the qualifications for a deputy, high school diploma, GED, what are the qualifications? So why are we not recruiting or advancing these other minority groups that want these same opportunities? You know, you need to start really looking like the people you serve in order to better that bond. A lot of people say, oh, well, the largest minority group here is the Hispanics, so let's get a bunch of Hispanics in our administration, and let's forget about everybody else. And I go, but then guess what? If you put unqualified Hispanics in your admin, you know, and they fail, then you fail. You really need to get people prepared and qualified to do these jobs in order to effectively police and serve the community. And that's one of the things that we've stepped away from over the years, and we need to get back to that.
Definitely. Kind of on a lighthearted note, since you're running in Osceola County, it's a county-wide race, what's one of your favorite places to visit or go to in the county? And this can be a pre-coronavirus answer too. But yeah, just one of your favorite places to go visit, or something like that in the county.
I'll tell you this, we have an extensive area. I'm talking about, I want to say millions of acres of wildlife management in Osceola County. You have 3 lakes, you have Bull Creek, you have Triple N Ranch. There's so many different wildlife management you can go, and you don't have to worry about coronavirus. They're open, it's a trail system. You can hike for miles. They have a little check station, you sign in. There's usually nobody ever there. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do, and I like the outdoors. You can actually camp at some of these places, and you don't have to worry about anybody out there coughing on you, sneezing on you. That's one of my favorite areas. There are other places, but I like to go to the wildlife management areas just to, you know, every now and then you can see deer, bobcats, you know, all kind of wildlife out there. They have nice ponds. You can fish in them. You just got to get out there and explore. That's what I like to do, the wildlife management areas. And they should check them out. They're free.
I know, I love hiking too, and there's so many in Osceola County. So,
yes, a lot of people don't know this, and they don't utilize these things.
Yes, I love it. Our last question, and this is it. We are the Osceola Democrats, and we want to increase the support for Democrats, especially young people. How's your campaign working to do that? Can you hear me? I don't know.
Can you repeat it? I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
Okay. We're the Osceola Democrats, and we really want to increase support of Democratic candidates this year. How's your campaign working to attract young people to vote for you, or how is this changing because of the COVID-19? It's our last question.
That's fine. A lot of the younger people that I'm reaching out to, they like the fact that I have not been sitting behind a patrol car for 30 years, okay? I actually have served this country for many years as a military personnel, very young, business owner in the private sector, and also as a deputy sheriff. So I'm a little well-rounded, and I know a little bit about the needs of everybody. I've seen it on both sides of the fence. I've been on the receiving end of profiling, you know, and as a law enforcement officer, I know what to look for when people try to profile, and those are the things that we can nip in the butt and minimize. Because, you know, people say, oh, you only stopped me because I'm black. No, we want to stop you because of your violation. You know, the cams, body cams are so important technology. We were promised body cams 3 years ago, and we never got them until Congressman Darren Soto actually got some funding to get these things. You know, you can't make campaign promises that you're not going to keep. However, reaching out to this younger group of Democrats, I'm the youngest candidate running, and I think I can relate more to them. I have a couple UCF graduates. My daughter's an oncology nurse, and my son just graduated from criminal justice, and he's working for the Postal Service. You know, and it's like my daughter, hardcore Democrat, you know, blah, 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 this and this. And then my son is more conservative, and he's a Republican. And he tells me, Dad, when I'm walking around UCF, they're like, they hate the popo, and they want to do this. I go, sons, they're expressing themselves. Let them do what they want to do. But they have chosen their paths, and I never influenced them to do what they want to do. So I can reach out to that younger generation and mindset, because, you know, I have kids that went through this. And it's very interesting because a lot of these older candidates have that mindset where I pushed a patrol car for 35, 40 years, but what else have you done? What have you done before pushing a patrol car? You know, what other life's experience do you bring to the table? I think that's really important, that you have someone that just hasn't done one thing their whole life. It really makes a difference. You can reach out to that younger crowd.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Marco Lopez. It was really fun to interview you and getting to know you. We will be posting this on YouTube. And I want to thank you very much for doing Spill the Tea with OYD.
All right. Well, thank you both for having me. I appreciate the interview.
Definitely.